Good morning, friends. Happy Thursday. We are here a little bit early today, so thank you for finding me or watching later. My name is Rachel Trout, if this is your first time joining me, and every Thursday I come to you with an online card class, and usually it is at 12 p.m. Arizona time, but my life has been so crazy, I don't know when was the last time we were actually at that time. We're at least on the right day this week. It is Thursday, but we are a little bit early this week. My kids have a big concert tonight. They are getting together with 3 other schools, and their choirs are doing a big concert at a performing arts center. So the time when I usually do this video, I have to go get my kids and take them over to one of the other schools to practice this afternoon. And so I am a little bit early today. While we are on the topic of our weekly card class time, next week's video is going to be recorded, but it will post at the normal time at 12 p.m. Arizona time on Thursday. So it probably won't pop up for you if you are watching on Facebook. Usually when I do a pre-recorded video, it's harder for you to see because Facebook doesn't like those outside links excuse me, to YouTube and things. So just set yourself a reminder to come back next Thursday at 12 p.m. and check out the recorded card class. Or if you are on YouTube, if you've subscribed, you should be notified when that new video posts. And then the following week is the week of Thanksgiving. That week's video will also be recorded, but it will post on Wednesday instead of Thursday. Because on Thanksgiving, I hope you are enjoying time with your family. And not watching my videos. I mean, if you want to watch some of my videos on Thanksgiving, go right ahead. But the new one will post on Wednesday instead of Thursday that week. And then I think the next week we should be at our regularly scheduled time, Thursday at 12 p.m. Okay, so those are the housekeeping details this week. If you are watching for the first time, or maybe just need a refresher, every week I offer the card kit for the cards that we make. And so we're going to make 3 cards today using the Gingerbread Man Bundle. And if you would like a card kit so that you can make these cards at home, you just need to shop with me now through Tuesday, November 18th. And when you spend more than $50 before tax and shipping and after Stampin Rewards, then I will send you the card kit to make the 3 cards that we are doing today. They are awesome. I do have to say the Gingerbread Man dies are out of stock. I have had a knack recently for picking things, and then they go out of stock. But we're still going to use it this week. They're supposed to be back in stock next week. So if you want to wait until Monday or Tuesday to order and see if they come back in, that is a possibility. I'm hoping it's early in the week. So they are out of stock. You can go in the online store, and if you sign up with your email, they will notify you as soon as they come back in stock. Or you could just get the stamp set. There's really not too many things that you would need the dies for to create the cards. When you get the card kit, everything's pretty much die cut for you. You'll see today we are just going to die cut a few of the little gumdrops, which are really easy to fussy cut if you need to. And the other thing is I'm going to show you how to cut the snap in the gingerbread's leg for our last card, which is really cute. But that you could do by hand too, or, you know, wait till you get the dies. So hopefully they'll be back in the beginning of next week. Hi, Joan. Thank you for finding me live at a different time again. And if you are watching now or later, please comment and say hi. Let me know you're here. I also like to send the cards that I make each week to 3 random people who comment. And I just caught up on a bunch of them this week. They all went out in the mail. So there was a big stack because I have gotten behind in a lot of things. Actually, this week is really crazy busy again. We had something every night this week, but I have been able to be home for a couple of days. Which was not the case for the past couple of weeks, and those couple of days at home have been really good to get things done. So, all right, I'm going to flip down. I have my Christmas card club here to show you. The deadline for that is coming up on Saturday. For my card club this month, I am still a little bit behind on designing that. But I will tell you that I am using the Gingerbread Man Bundle for my card club. And I hope to post the sneak peek of that later today, but we are going to see how the day goes. So this is the Christmas Card Club. This is my favorite card from the Christmas Card Club this month. I used the Ornamental Christmas Bundle and then some non-traditional Christmas colors. There's a couple of really easy fun folds in this month's Christmas Card Club kit that are just easy but fun. And so the Christmas Card Club is $44 a month, and you get supplies to make 8 cards, so 2 of each of these designs. And your kit also includes product that you use on the cards. So for example, this month is including a half pack of the beautiful Bokeh Designer Series paper, this Balmy Blue sheer ribbon, a full roll, and a full pack of the frosted iridescent dots. We're actually using the ribbon and the dots on our cards today too. I really love those. They're some of my favorite embellishments from this holiday catalog. And what else was I going to say? Yep, the deadline's Saturday. You supply your own stamps, ink, and adhesives. And I think there was one more thing I was going to tell you. Oh, I'm trying something new this month. So this is a subscription. So you sign up through PayPal and you get charged $44 a month every month until you stop it. And one of the perks of subscribing for 6 consecutive months, every 6 consecutive months that you subscribe, I send you a little gift package with, usually I put a kit in there and maybe an embellishment and some handmade cards as a thank you for being a loyal subscriber. But if you just want to do 1 month at a time, you can. And this month I'm trying something new. If you just want to buy this month's kit, you don't want to subscribe, you can pay a little more. You can pay $50 instead of the $44 and just get this month's kit. So I'm going to put both links for either subscribing at the $44 a month, or you can purchase just this month's kit for $50. And I'll put links in the description of the video for that. But the deadline is Saturday. It's a great time to make Christmas cards because it's approaching the time when it's going to be time to send them. I need to start seeing what I have to make sure I have enough to send out this year. All right, today we're using the Gingerbread Man Bundle. This bundle is so cute, you guys. If you haven't seen the post from this morning, I shared the Artisan Design Team projects using this bundle, and it was a mix of this bundle and the Homemade Treats bundle, which is another cute one that we'll be using in a few weeks. But it's so adorable. And if you look at this set of dies, look how big this package is. It is humongous. When I got it, I was like, whoa, this is really large. The reason it's not really a huge die set, it does have a lot of dies in it, but this Gingerbread Man die is really cool because it creates like a score line in the middle, so you can make a gingerbread man shaped card, which I have not done yet. Actually, I was thinking for my card club, I might do one where the little gingerbread man, it's a regular size card, but he opens up on the front. Wouldn't that be cute? There's lots of fun accessory dies in this one, though. You've got different candies. You've got different eyes and faces that you can use for your gingerbread man. You've got a bow. You've got the scarf, the mug, the hat. This little piece we're going to use here, you can snap off his leg or his arm. And one of the sayings says, "Oh, snap," which is really fun. And then this is just like a little squiggle design. So many cute things in this bundle, and I love it. I hope you do too. So it's a lot of fun. Same with the stamp set. You've got your big, and this is obviously not full size. He is bigger than this. He almost takes up the front of a card front. I love the sayings in this stamp set because they're like little puns, which I love. Okay, Joan says she hasn't ordered this yet. Well, I'm sorry, Joan, if I'm an enabler today because I think it's really cute and you're going to love it. All right, we have 3 cards to make today. The thing I've discovered with this bundle is that it is a little bit more time intensive because there's so many fun little details that you want to play with and add, and it does take a little more time to make these cards, but it's so worth it. So this is our first one, and all of our cards today were kind of, the layouts were cased from a demonstrator named Michelle Litwiller. This was part of a creative convention I took part of oh, I don't know when it was, September maybe. And so I used her layouts and I kind of changed up a few things. But her layout ideas were super cute. Now, if you order and get the card kit this week, this is how it's going to come. Everything is cut and sorted into an envelope for you. So you have all your pieces here and you see the die cutting is done for you, which is really nice. And so you just have to stamp and assemble. And that's what we're going to do today. Hi Sharon, thanks for watching. I'm glad a few of you found me live at this odd time. I tried to be good about my reminders this week. Okay, for this one we're going to start with a crumb cake card base, 5.5 by 8.5, folded in half. And I'm going to set that off to the side. And then we have a piece of Pretty in Pink that is 4 by 5.25. And we're going to take these cute little gumdrops and just stamp them in Pretty in Pink ink around the edge to kind of create a fun little border. Now my Pretty in Pink ink pad is pretty juicy, so I'm trying not to ink these up too much because then it's kind of messy. You can turn the gumdrops any which way you want. Kind of make a fun little pattern on your side here and make it more random. I don't know. Oops, that one was not great, but maybe that part will get covered up. It's just like the gingerbread man took a bite off of that side, I guess. And the die that cuts out these gumdrops, so when you stamp them, it's 2 together. The die will cut out both of them, but when they're cut out, they're separate. So that's kind of nice. Then you get 2 pieces. Okay, here we go. All right, I am going to clean that off with my chamois here because on our next card, we're going to stamp these in a couple different colors. And that's why I was a minute late because I forgot to get my chamois and I had to wet it. And sometimes that takes a minute. Okay, then we will add this to our card base. And I just changed out my Stampin' Seal yesterday, so there should not be a chance of us running out today. It seems like every time I do a live video, my Stampin' Seal is almost out. All right, then the Designer Series paper we're using today on 2 of our cards is the Traditions of Christmas specialty paper. So it's specialty because it has the gold foiling on one side and it is really pretty. I think I've used it here before. We're using a few of the more like traditional Christmas patterns today. So this one is a cherry cobbler polka dot. I don't know if I think it's a lighter shade of cherry cobbler in there. And we're going to tie our balmy blue ribbon around and make a bow before we attach this. So this I die cut with our Perennial Postage dies. And I love those dies. I have a feeling one of these times they're going to be on our retired list and I'm going to be sad. But you know what? They always come out with something new that will take its place and I will like just as much. And speaking of that, demonstrators got to see the upcoming January to April mini catalog yesterday. And the January online exclusives. And let me tell you, there is some good stuff in there. I want just about the whole catalog. So that was just on a quick first look. So I need to take a closer look and we get to start ordering from it on Tuesday, which is really exciting. I need to shorten my list a little bit because I cannot buy the whole catalog. I wish I could, but I can't. So there's a lot of good stuff in there. If you want to see it too, you can always buy the starter kit and you can take a look and you can order from it starting Tuesday. Just saying. When we get to start our pre-order on Tuesday, you can also add items from that catalog to a starter kit, which is a lot of fun. Get them before everyone else because all those products will not be available to customers until January. So it's kind of fun to be able to shop early, but I need to finish up Christmas things first too. That's always hard at this time of year. It's like, I want to start playing with the new stuff, but got to finish up Christmas things. Okay, I'm going to kind of lay this at an angle on here. And I added that with dimensionals. All right, I'm going to move that aside. So now we have our gingerbread. Now I've die cut this already. So you saw the big die, and here is the little score line, so you could fold it and make a card. I just wanted one side of it to stamp on. So if you cut a piece of cardstock that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, you can just put one side of the die on there and die cut, and then we'll trim this off after we stamp and everything. This is pecan pie. I think it's a perfect color for a gingerbread man. And we're going to use white embossing powder for his little frosting. So I'm using my embossing buddy to get all of the static off of there. And then we are going to stamp our gingerbread man. Now, some people with a large stamp like this will turn the ink pad over and ink it like this. I feel like I can press in there a little bit better doing it this way. So that's what I'm doing. But you do it however you want to do it. Just making sure I get good coverage. And then we're going to kind of line it up here. The nice part about the photopolymer is you can see through and get it lined up. And then I'm just giving it a good press down to get that ink on the cardstock. And it's nice to have this little piece here to grab it off. And then I'm going to use this squiggle piece kind of across its center here. And then our gingerbread boy or girl needs a face, so I'm using the little smiley face here. All right, we will put our Versamark away, and then I'm using my white embossing powder. Now I still have this embossing powder I find lasts forever, but I think it is probably almost time for me to buy a new package, and I'll try. We switched embossing powders, I don't know how long it's been, a year or so, maybe longer, I don't know, to our Basics Wow embossing powder, and I use white the most. So I think it comes in a pack of 3 with white, black, and I don't know what else. We have a metallic pack too. White, black, probably clear. So I like to put this gingerbread boy is almost a little bit too big for this container that I have my embossing powder in. But actually I'm having better luck with it than I did yesterday when I was embossing. All right, and so the embossing buddy and this little brush are part of our what's it called? Embossing Additions Toolkit or something like that. The little tray actually would work pretty well for this gingerbread man. Okay. And then it also comes with this tweezers, which I like to use to hold whatever I am embossing. All right, so I'm going to turn my heat tool on, and he is a little bigger, so it's going to take a minute, so just hang tight. Well, it's a little noisy, and you can watch the magic happen. Okay, I think I got him. All right, now I'm going to trim this edge off. Now, this is the only part I don't like about this, is that there's not really an option to just die cut the gingerbread man that you stamp, but you can use your scissors, and actually this part's going to be covered up a little bit, so if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. All right, we're going to add him to our card and use some dimensionals. And he really is quite large, so it's a nice focal point for your cards. And then you can use whatever accessory dies you want. All right, and we want to make sure he's down kind of low because I'm going to put his hat on. I might have to adjust my bow just a little bit. You really want it all the way on that left side. I really like this color combination. It's kind of a fun one for Christmas. You know, you have the red, but then the pink and the blue. It's a good one for Valentine's Day too. I like the red with the pink and the blue. Okay, so let's put our gingerbread man on here. Like that. All right. Now for the accessories, I've cut 2 of his hats. I cut one in white and one in blue. And that is so that we can get the little puff on the top in white. So I'm just going to trim that puff part off of here. And then we're going to glue this part onto the white hat, and then you'll just see the white puff part at the top. And then we have his blue scarf that I also cut. And we'll glue that on also. All right. And I would recommend using the glue because then you can kind of move it around so that it's lined up just right. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on its head. And we don't really want this to stick off the card too much. That's why I made sure to put his, oh my goodness, that was not set. You guys are probably staring at that, screaming at your screen. Let's see if I can, I thought it was all set. Let's see if I can fix this a little bit. Well, I don't know. I better use my brush. What are we going to do? Let's see if I can make this work. We're going to get creative today. All right, it's not going to be perfect, but it won't be too bad. All right, let's see what we can do. All right, that is just his imperfect frosting that someone did a bad job at. Okay, let's glue his scarf on. And it fits right across his neck there. Super cute. Okay, I'm going to move that out of the way. I have a strip of Pretty in Pink here that is 5/8 by 3 1/8. And we're going to do the Baking Spirits Bright. And I am going to emboss this in white also. So let's use our embossing buddy again. And our Versamark. See if I can get that straight in the middle. Okay. So far, so good. We'll get our embossing powder on here. All right, I'm going to emboss my fingers today, I think. All right, let's get our tweezers to hold this. It makes it homemade. Yes, you are absolutely right, Joan. That is what I always say. It's just like a homemade cookie. They're never perfect either. Here we go. wanted to make sure I got that. You know what? I have had this heat tool for a very long time and this embossing powder. So maybe it is time to upgrade. We changed heat tools like a long time ago. It was probably shortly after I became a demonstrator, but I already had this one and I was like, I'm not paying $30 for a new one when I could spend $30 on, you know, another stamp set or something. So I have never upgraded my heat tool, but I don't know if that's part of the problem too. It's old. My embossing powder's old. I just need some new stuff, I guess. All right. So I'm adding that with some dimensionals. And then the last thing we're going to do is add a few of our frosted iridescent dots. I believe that's what they're called. Yep, I got it right. I've written it enough times, used them enough times recently. I finally memorized the name. And we're using some of these blue ones here. These are so pretty. This color scheme of these dots and the ribbon, love that. Love these colors. All right, so there is our first card. I'm gonna I can't talk today. I'm gonna tuck this sample in here for a lucky winner. I will not give this special homemade version to you. I will give you my nicer sample. Joan says hers is 20 years old and she's not buying a new one. I know, right? Because there's so many other things you could spend your money on. I think they're $30 and that can buy a lot of embellishments. I'm just saying. All right, time for our second card. So this one, we're also using a pattern of the Traditions of Christmas paper, but with some fun colors that I took right out of the dots here because they're so cute. All right, this one is focused on the candy, so we can show you some of those dies. We've got all our pieces in here, and they're all die cut ahead of time, except for the gumdrops, which we're going to stamp and die cut. All right, this one we have a Balmy blue card base, 5.5 by 8.5. Then I have a piece of basic white that is 4 by 5.25. And the designer series paper is 3 3/4 by 5. So we're just going to layer those together. This pattern is classic Christmas to me. And there's another one in this set that is also Old Olive that is really nice. Of course, the specialty sides of that paper are great also. All right, before we attach to our card, we're going to wrap our ribbon around and tie a bow. Don't forget that part. I'm doing pretty good so far today outside of that gingerbread man as far as remembering things. So, hey, that is good because I am definitely tired today. Now with my husband's going into the office 3 days a week now, and we get up earlier on those days because he has to leave earlier. And Thursdays, I get up at 5:30 because my kids have band and we have to be to school earlier too. So it is always a big job to get everybody out the door. We leave our house at 7:10. Well, usually it's closer to 7:15 because it takes me that long to get them all out the door. And today they had a bunch of extra stuff to take for their concert. They're supposed to wear black shoes and black pants. So we had to make sure everybody had everything. And yeah, everybody had their instruments for band. And we did it though. We got out the door. We got there on time with even a few minutes to spare. So hope the rest of the day goes that smoothly. All right, next we have this label here that I cut with the branching out dies. Probably one of my favorite die sets out of our holiday catalog because it has a number of sizes of this shape, which I love. We're using Balmy blue ink to match our ribbon and our card base. And our sentiment for this one is sugar and spice and everything nice, which fits perfectly with all these candy pieces. That was a little crooked, but you know what? We'll go with it. Okay, I'm going to put that back over there. And now, let's see. I probably should have kept that out so we can stamp our gumdrops. We're going to stamp our gumdrops in 3 colors. We're going to do Pretty in Pink, Highland Heather, and Balmy Blue. So we have 6 gumdrops, so I guess I didn't need to put my Balmy Blue away, but that's all right. We'll just get it back out. Stamp 1 here. And I'm going to clean that off. It's so dry. This is already drying out. Definitely very dry in Arizona. My Simply Chamois does not stay wet for very long. All right, next we'll do Pretty in Pink. I don't know if you shop at Hobby Lobby. You should, because it's a great store. But I have seen lots of like gingerbread candy type stuff in these colors actually. Super cute. I think they had some of that stuff last year, but I'm pretty sure I saw it again this year. I went there a few weeks ago. And of course they have all their Christmas stuff out already. And they have for months, but more and more every week, which is fun to go see. So if you like candies in this color, go to Hobby Lobby. Check it out. All right, I'm going to get my die cutting machine here. The nice thing about these gumdrops is in the Gingerbread Man die set, Stampin' Up! Gave us 2 of the dies for the gumdrops. So I can die cut 2 at one time, and then we'll just run the 3rd one through. So let me grab those. And we will do these 2 first, because I'm not sure how close I stamped them together. It works better to not put the dies right on top of each other. All right, see if I can run that through, or if I have too much stuff in the way of my hand. There we go. Oh, Joan says by her it's 52 degrees and rain the next 3 days. Sounds chilly. It actually is supposed to rain here this weekend too, and cool down to highs in the 60s, which for us is cold, like winter temperatures. I was just talking about that with my kids this morning because we were talking about why so many of our family members live in the Midwest, and I said that's where they grew up and they're used to the cold, and you grew up in Arizona, so 60 degrees is cold to you. We were saying how none of us would like to live where it snows and sticks around in the winter. And that's why we live here. So we will deal with the heat in the summer. Okay, let's move that out of the way. All right, now we've just got to glue all of our pieces to our card. And this is what I was saying. So this set is a little bit more futzy with all the little pieces to take the time to do that, but they're super cute. So I'm going to start with my sentiment here, and let's see where I stuck my dimensionals. Under the card, of course, so I can't see them. And we'll add that over our ribbon. All right, put that in the center. All right, next we're going to add all of our little gumdrops, and I am going to add those with some mini dimensionals, which are just the right size to fit on the back here. Excuse me. You can also cut your dimensionals if you don't have the mini ones, but the mini ones are nice for things like this. I don't use them that often, but when you need something tiny, they are just the right size. All right. Let me know what you think of these colors in the comments. I think these are fun colors for little candies, but they would totally be fun in traditional Christmas colors too. So I need to design my card club today, and I know I'm using the Gingerbread Man Bundle, and I keep going back and forth in my head about whether I should do more non-traditional colors like this, or if I should stick with traditional like reds and greens. So I am not fully decided yet. I'm going to have to decide soon because I need to design the cards today, but if you have an opinion, you can share it with me in the comments because I would like to know. I like both traditional and non-traditional Christmas colors, so sometimes it is a really hard decision for me which I should use. Okay, now we've got all of our little candy pieces here, so let me show you this die. So this die cuts out this, which is 2 different pieces, and then it cuts out the stick. So what I've done is I cut it out in white, I cut it out in Pretty in Pink, and I cut it out in Highland Heather. And then I also cut out this one in white, and this could fit on this one also, but since I had the extra pieces from that other one, I just used those. So now we're going to glue those together. So let's see, on my lollipop stick, I'm going to use the Pretty in Pink outline, and then we'll do the Highland Heather for the swirly part. And again, with the glue, that makes it really easy to kind of get it right where you want it on that circle. All right, Sharon's vote is for non-traditional colors. All right. I didn't see, I might have missed if somebody else commented, but I will go back and look and I will see. I like the non-traditional ones too. All right, there is our lollipop. So you can put glue on here. I'm going to do a dimensional on one side and then glue on the other so it can stick down on this. And we don't want to cover up our sentiment or go off the card. So I think right about there. All right, and then our other candy will have the Highland Heather outline with the pink swirl. So actually, even though there's a lot of die cutting, you have to do multiple colors, you know, to do the mix and match. So then you can make multiple candies and just switch out your inside and outside pieces. Or you could leave it white. That looks kind of pretty too. Kind of like a peppermint, but in different colors. I mean, if you use red, you can make it a peppermint. I don't know if you've ever been to a candy factory to watch them make candies like this with the different colors and stuff, but that is a cool process. We went to, well, when we used to live near Denver, there's a candy factory there, Hammond's, and we have been on that tour several times. And then there's a candy factory across Phoenix that we've been to a few times too, called Soretta's, and it's kind of fun to watch them make the candies. All right, so that one's going to kind of overlap the gumdrops over here a little bit. And then we're going to finish off with some of our frosted gems again, and I'm going to use a mix of the purple, the white, and the blue this time. And these white ones are kind of iridescent, so they take on other colors, which I like. And we've got to have some blue because there's blue in our card base and our ribbon. And you can add as few or as many of these as you want. All right, we'll go with 5. So there is our second card. Let's tuck that one away for another winner and move on to our third card, which I think is my favorite just because I love the colors. I also love that you can cut your gingerbread and have this saying, "Oh snap." I think that is really cute and funny. So here are all of our pieces for this one. And the reason I went with Berry Burst was because of the Berry Burst dots in here, but also because it's one of my favorite Stampin' Up! Colors. So we have a Berry Burst card base, and it's 5.5 by 8.5, folded in half. Then I have a piece of basic white that's 4 by 5 1/4, And this is Bubble Bath. I thought about using the Pretty in Pink, but I really like Bubble Bath with Berry Burst, and so I went with that. And the Bubble Bath is 3 3/4 by 5, and then I embossed it with the Dotted Circles 3D embossing folder, which is just a fun one. And I thought it was nice for the gingerbread man to have a little embossed background. So I'm just going to layer these to my card. We're not using any ribbon this time. We're just using paper and lots of those fun little dies. Okay, so we are going to stamp our gingerbread man again and emboss, and this time we will see if we can get him fully embossed the first try. It really does take a while because he is so large. Okay, so same gingerbread outline. I've got a crumb or something on there. Let's get that off of there. We'll ink him up real good again. All right, line him up. Give that a good press. Now this time I'm going to stamp his eyes and some buttons in black instead. And we're going to stamp his cheeks. Maybe it's a girl gingerbread this time. She has a berry burst bow. All right, there is our gingerbread man or woman. And then I am going to stamp the little squiggle again. So last time I put it a little bit lower because we were putting the sentiment across. This time I'm going to put it more across the middle right here. All right, and then the rest of it we will stamp after we have embossed. So let's see if we can get the embossing powder on him. Without making too large of a mess. It's working well to start with his head. I think I started with his feet yesterday, and that's probably why it took me longer. So I'm glad I at least figured something out today. Now we got to get this leg, though. And he barely fits in my container, so that is the other tricky part. All right, a little more in his hand, and then we'll see if we can brush off that stuff in the center. All right, that's pretty good. All right, Sharon says she thinks this, I think you're talking about this one, Sharon, such a cute card. I agree. I love this one. So again, I took Michelle Litwiller's layout and made it my own colors, which I think is part of the cuteness. Okay, we're going to emboss him, so hang tight for a minute while we heat him up. All right, I think he's good. Let's hope that's true. All right, now let's see if I blew my other pieces all the way over there with my heat tool. All right, we're gonna stamp now. We have buttons, we have eyes and a mouth, I think that is, and then the cute little cheeks. So I'm just going to use black for the eyes and the buttons. So his mouth is kind of wide open, like he's surprised that he got snapped, his leg got snapped off. Well, not yet, but it's about to. And then we've got our buttons. And those will just go right above that squiggle. And then for his cheeks, since we had, now I'm not using Pretty in Pink paper on this card, but since we used the Pretty in Pink ink on our first card, I thought I would just use that same color in our second card. And it's on the pecan pie cardstock, so it just looks pink. Isn't that cute to give him little pink cheeks? I think it is. There's lots of cute stuff in this bundle, like I said. All right, I'm going to trim off his extra arm here. And then we're going to take a look at that cute little die that cuts out or cuts him and snaps him. All right, now you will need your regular size Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine to die cut this gingerbread man. But I think for this part, I think we can fit him through the mini. So I'm just going to use this die right here, and you can decide where you want his leg to, you could snap off his leg, you could snap off his arm. I mean, you could snap off his head if you really wanted to. Who bites their gingerbread head first? I don't know. That is kind of how we eat them sometimes. So you just want to, let me move this out of the way so you can see. I tested beforehand, and I think he will fit well enough for what we are doing. So we're just going to stick that across, and it's going to snap his little leg off, and you can decide how much you want to trim off there. But isn't that fun? Can be like he took a bite. And once I die cut this, let me show you in the stamp set. There's a little stamp that is like crumbs. So if you wanted to, you could stamp the crumbs where you cut off the part of the cookie, which I think is really cute. All right, let me put that die away and find my stamp set back. Let's see where I set that. So you've got this little stamp right here, and that is like cookie crumbs, which I think is cute also. Okay, let's get our card back, and we are going to add our little gingerbread person with some dimensionals. And one more there. All right, we're going to put it off at an angle this way. And then we need one dimensional for the little snapped off foot. Like that. All right, and then we have the bow. Now this die cuts all 3 pieces of the bow at once. And I did mine in Berry Burst. So I'm just going to put a little dot of glue here for the center of the bow. Maybe if my glue will come out. There we go. And we'll put a little bit of glue there to do the bow. I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to pick that up. And then this, and you can decide how much of the bow you want showing. I'm going to make it a little bit shorter by putting it down farther. But you can let more of the tails of your bow show if you want. And then we're just going to glue this onto the gingerbread man or girl. I think this one must be a girl because I don't think a boy gingerbread would wear this pretty pinkish purple bow. And it's going to cover up a little bit of the button depending on where you stamped everything, and that's okay. Okay, there is that. Then we're going to stamp our sentiment, and this is part of the gingerbread man dies, the little speech bubble. And the O snap fits perfectly in there. I just think that's such a funny little saying for the gingerbread man because his foot just snapped off. It makes me laugh anyways. All right, we'll add this with dimensionals also. And there we go, up here in the corner. And then we've got to use some of those Berry Burst gems. All right, where did I stick my Take Your Pick tool? I just had it. But now I do not see it. Oh, here it is. Hiding under my heat tool. Rolled under there. All right, so just add a few of these Berry Burst ones. Like that. And that is our last card. This one is my favorite. So I'm going to tuck that one in for one more winner, and I'll bring back in all three, and you can let me know in the comments which one is your favorite this week. This one is mine. But I like them all because this bundle is so much fun to work with. Now, don't forget, if you would like to get a card kit to make these 3 cards, shop with me now through Tuesday and spend more than $50. I'll put a shopping link in the description of the video. Thank you so much for watching and joining me today. I hope you love the cards and that they inspire you to create something with this bundle or with these colors or layouts. And I will see you again next week. Bye.